Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Shevin Kekoulani with Phrase Change, and today we're talking to Dillon Luther. How are you doing today, Dillon?
I'm doing well, Shevin. How about you?
Doing very well. Dillon will be out here in Austin, Texas for Austin ShoutOut, hosted by Alejandro
Ooh.
Hernandez and GoDance. That'll be a lot of fun, him and Chantel Pianetta. Dillon, how did you get started in West Coast swing and dance overall?
Yeah, so I'll try to keep this short, but there's kind of three people that were big contributors to me dancing. My first one's my little sister. So when I was growing up, I was like an athlete. I wanted to be a professional football player, all that jazz. Tried every sport I could. And my little sister went kind of a different route with dancing. And it wasn't until I was maybe I think like a sophomore, junior in high school that she joined this breakdancing crew. And we didn't used to be really good friends, so she like never told me she tried out for it.
Hmm.
And one day she joined, and I became the groupie for her little hip hop crew. And so I wanted to go and hang out and watch all this dance stuff. My sister was really confused because we didn't get along. So she was like, "Why does my big brother want to hang out with me now?" And the more and more I watched her dance and went to all these dance things, I eventually was like, "Hey, Mom, I want to take a dance class." And they're like, "No, this is your sister's thing. You're not allowed to do it. You guys are too competitive. We don't want this to, we don't want any more fights." And then one day I asked again, and my sister said, "Hey, Mom, he's never going to be as good as me, so go ahead and let him dance." And so I was sold. I was sold. I was a pretty competitive athlete in football in high school, and I started dancing. And my coach was not a fan. I had to miss one of these like summer league practices to go to a hip hop dance recital, I guess was the technical terminology.
Okay.
I think it hindered my football career, but all for the better now.
Hmm.
So that was where it started with hip hop and breakdancing. And I wasn't good like when I first started. I did a lot of activities in my life where I tried to get slightly better than average. And then when I was there, I got bored and I would go try something else. But dancing, I didn't get good at, especially breakdancing. It just wasn't natural to me, the movement and stuff like that. So it was
Right.
one of those where not only was it challenging, but it's something I really, really liked. So I was like, wow, this is weird. I would need to work really, really hard at this, and I really like it, but it didn't feel natural. I remember my first day I showed up and was trying to do what's called a top rock, which is kind of one of your basic breakdancing moves before you enter a battle. And I looked like probably a bad ballet dancer, but I had these really like soft arms, and I was reaching up like I was in a tutu and stuff. And guys were all laughing at me in the class, but I kept showing up. I could kind of do some tricks, and so after a while, I learned one cool trick so I could feel comfortable battling, but I still wasn't a good dancer. Um, and yeah, what was the transition from there? I guess 2 years later, I was still trying to dance in college. I took a hip hop class, was terrible at choreography.
Hmm.
Uh, Tried to learn to just groove a little bit better. And then one day, I went from liking the show America's Best Dance Crew to liking the show So You Think You Can Dance.
Great
And I
shows.
realized hip hop was never, breakdancing by itself was never going to allow me to dance with a partner. So
Hmm.
I had no idea how to get into So You Think You Can Dance style dancing. But I was like, well, I'll take a ballroom class. That'll be maybe the first step. And I took ballroom, and it was fun to learn to do partner dancing, but I
Uh-huh.
wasn't a huge fan of the music, and it wasn't kind of the look I was going for. And that's where the second person story comes in. Thomas Carter, who you guys might know, he's from Arizona. He's an all-star, one of my favorite dancers to watch in the world. He came in one day to our ballroom class because he was one of the TAs kind of, and told us, "Hey, come try this dance called West Coast Swing." And he showed us this video of Jordan and Tatiana dancing, I think in a bar to Blow by Kesha. And I had no
Okay.
idea it was lead and follow at the time, but the dance just looked so much more fun, and the music was great. I'm like, oh, I'd love to dance this. And so Thomas invited a couple of us to go dancing. So I went with him a couple times. Then I broke my finger, and this was my senior year, so I stopped dancing. Didn't think I was going to pick it up again. I was just getting ready to graduate and stuff. And then a buddy of mine from ASU, his name is Justin Rodriguez, who he's in Arizona. He and his wife still dance out there quite a bit. It was like 8 weeks before I graduated, and we were at church together, I think. He's like, "Hey, man, you want to come dancing?" I was like, "Sure. What kind of dancing do you do?" And he said, "West Coast Swing." And I was like, I think I know a little bit of that. And so we went and we danced the next 8 weeks until I moved to San Francisco. And I ended up pushing back my move-in date just so I could go to July 4th, Phoenix 4th of July swing.
Yeah.
And I went there one weekend and just got super obsessed with it and moved out to the Bay Area afterward, and had no idea I moved into the future of my dance community.
Yeah. The West Coast swing capital of the world, essentially.
That's what it feels like, man. I feel spoiled.
So, is that why San Francisco, or is there any other reason why San Francisco?
It's that's not why I moved out here. Actually, I just got really lucky. I moved out here for work. I went to school for mechanical engineering
Mhm.
and interned out here when I was in college, and then got a job at the same company. So I came out here, and then conveniently got addicted to West Coast swing right before that. And then I found out I moved to what I considered then, and honestly still seems like the mecca of West Coast swing most days. So yeah, just I feel like I got really lucky, and then it felt like honestly a mini convention almost every week. I mean, it still feels like that when we go out here. I'm spoiled.
Yeah. Shoot. Well, I'm glad you moved out to San Francisco and found the mecca of West Coast swing. That's awesome.
Too.
Uh,
It's a fun experience. The community here is great. I mean, you go out and you see people like Austin Coyce is just dancing for fun, or Janelle Guido, Yenny. Just, I mean, I didn't even have a concept of who some of the champions were until I moved out here.
mhm.
I was that brand new, right? I was still scrounging for video, so I had no
Yeah.
idea people like Alyssa lived here, and Melissa Roots. I know I'm forgetting like Sean and Courtney are out here now, and then I just had no idea this was my backyard for West Coast swing. So it's been it's been pretty surreal. It's been awesome.
That's amazing. What do you do from
Yeah.
keeping from getting burnt out? I mean, you have so many pros up there, so many dances out there in San Francisco. I see you traveling all the time. What other hobbies do you have to kind of keep you away from West Coast swing that kind of mix in?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, prior to dancing, I did quite a few activities. When I first came out here, when I was an intern, I spent most of my time playing recreational volleyball and rock climbing, and then I kind of just quit those cold turkey when I started dancing. Dancing kind of took over as a full time hobby. I'm still pretty active with like some fitness stuff, and I recently switched from mechanical engineering into software engineering. So learning kind of a new set of skills for my job has been something that's kept me entertained. And honestly, San Francisco is just, it's a really, really cool place to live in. I feel like if I want to go be a tourist in my city, it's just a place you can do that. So,
Nice.
on those breaks when I just need to like get away from dance, or I'm like, I've been working on something, and it's just not going anywhere. There's so many places to go and free your mind, whether it's on top of a hill in the city, or you decide, a friend comes and visits and you're like, I'm going to go be a tourist again and take them around.
Very
Um,
cool.
yeah, no, I honestly just feel really spoiled living here. I didn't know a lot about it prior to getting out here, but it's been a really cool place to be. So I'm very thankful.
That's amazing. Now, I asked you for two stories. Actually, I asked you for one story. You provided me with two. One, I wasn't going to give you a choice on really. I was going to have you tell the backflip story either way. The other one I had no
All
idea
right.
about. So let's start with the backflip story.
Yeah, so I guess yeah, these are two funny stories, however you want to look at it. But so I used to do a little bit of like urban gymnastics, free running when I was started break dancing. So that was one of the ways I got into it. I was like, well, at least I can do flips. So I might not be able to dance, but if I ever get to a point where someone embarrasses me, I can do a backflip.
There you
So that
go.
was kind of my back pocket trick.
Hmm.
And I remember I never thought I was going to use a West Coast swing. I still do think it's a pretty selfish thing to do. So while it was really cool the way it happened, it's not something I want to make my standard go to.
Yeah.
But at Swingtacular in 2015, I think I was watching the All Stars dance, and Ben O'Neill went out there. I think it was Eliza Hillman. I can't remember for sure. And he got that song, um, the song I did the backflip. I don't know the name of it, but I remember on the second verse he did like a handstand when it said that hard flipped or whatever the line is.
Yeah.
I remember watching, going, one day I'm gonna get that song in a spotlight and I'm gonna do a backflip. I just remember thinking that, not knowing if it was actually gonna happen or when it was gonna happen. But yeah, this year at Swingcouver, I drew Chantel, which was funny too because we just decided to be partners before that. So we did Strictly, and then I drew her in Jack and Jill, and we got that song. And yeah, I heard the line the first time, and I'm like, I got one more chance in the verse to do it, and that's when it happened. So shout out to Ben O'Neill for the great musical idea. I would not have been doing that without him. So
There you go.
yeah, so
So you
that's
had
the
this plan
first.
for years.
Yeah, I think I kind of forgot about it because I never realized. I don't think I've ever drawn that song even in a preliminary round.
Hmm.
So just kind of got lucky. I think Ben Morris even like made a comment or pointed to me during that Jack and Jill where he was like, I think Dillon can do a backflip or something like that, or were chatting about it afterwards. So yeah.
Very cool.
So that was a funny story. The other one is actually the first time I did West Coast swing in front of my parents. I think I'd been dancing for, let's see, maybe a year and a half, a little under. And I was back at Arizona, where I'm from, Desert City Swing. And my parents came, and my grandmother was in town from St. Louis. And Chantel and I were actually doing Strictly, which was pretty funny. So that was the first time they ever watched me dance. Flash forward, a few years, we're doing the routine, and I remember I thought I'd improved a lot. I felt a lot better at my dancing. I was getting more comfortable being out there on the floor, and I finished. We actually have a funny video. Maybe I can post it sometime of us in this blue outfit. But I finished. I came off the floor, and my family just kind of looked at me funny. They didn't really say anything.
Yeah.
They just stared, and I was like, "So, what did you guys think?" And my grandma's like, "Well, you look a little stiff out there. Have you thought about loosening up?" And that was the first feedback I'd ever gotten from my family. And my grandma was pretty opinionated and stuff, so it was pretty funny. I think we actually ended up like getting 5th place or something, but yeah, who knew? Like 2.5 years later, we'd be starting to do the partnership. So yeah, little full circle there.
Nice. Starting to partner up and traveling around the country, out here to Austin and such.
Yeah, we can't wait to be out there. We're looking forward to it.
If somebody wants to get in contact with you, let's say for a private lesson or want to book you for an event or anything like that, how do they get in contact with you?
I would say the best way would be Facebook. I will probably give out more personal info in certain locations, but I don't want too many people calling me on my phone number, texting me just yet. So yeah, Facebook, and if they want to reach out to when they add me, like go ahead and shoot me a message, in case we haven't met before. That'll kind of like jog my memory and make sure. I try to meet. I have this weird habit of, maybe it's weird, trying to like meet someone in person before I add them on Facebook, just so we can all keep track of who's
Right.
who.
That
But
way you
obviously,
actually like know them, and not like just adding everyone at an event.
yeah, I like to be able to remember someone's name, and usually that first face-to-face interaction helps a little bit. But yeah, but if anyone wants to reach out about dance, or even whether it's even a private lesson or just dance questions or things like that, feel free to shoot me a message on Facebook. Yeah, I think that's that.
All right. Thank you guys very much for tuning in, listening to Dylan Luther's podcast. This is our second one doing over Skype, so thank you, Dylan, for joining us, and we'll see you guys out on the dance floor.
Cool. Thanks for having me, Shevin. We can't wait to be there.